Hey everyone, this is Kieran from MSK Physio, and today we're looking at building a little bit more internal and external rotation into the hip while integrating some other areas of our body, meaning that we're just using other muscles and other regions to help us achieve the movement. But basically, if you found the quadruped stuff useful and you feel like you want a bit of a progression, then this is that progression. So the quadruped tends to be focused on the sitting back aspect. So if you watched our other videos, we've talked about being on the hands and knees and being able to sit backwards. We also need to develop rotation in our hip with our leg in a more extended position. So right now I'm very flexed through my hip. As I start to move forward though, I start to go into more hip extension. Now it's relative though, right? I'm still in some hip flexion, but from where I was, now I'm extended. And you can work on rotation in these positions. So if I'm out here, my knees can start rotating. If I show you from the side. So right now my right hip's going into internal rotation, my left one's going into external rotation. If I switch, now my left is going into internal rotation, and my right is going into external rotation. Now, it's not that we're trying to build strength here. We're just trying to say, well, if my hip goes into internal rotation, can it do that while all these other muscles are supporting at the same time? So I'm using a lot of tummy muscles here. I'm using a lot of scapular stabilizers. I've got neck muscles involved, holding my head up. I've got a lot of stuff going on. So if you find that there's a block, you're like, well, I've got internal rotation in easier movement, like on the ground or in quadruped, but I get up and I come into this one and I lose range. You know that maybe your hip's locked up to try and create some stability, maybe for a loss of stability, or maybe tension's a better word, tension somewhere else, like in the tummy or in the shoulders. And so this is a nice way to start building that tension while encouraging some movement at the hip. So by being here, I have to take more through my shoulders and my abs, versus back here, in this position, this is a lot more into my hips. So let's do an example. If I'm out like this, go on a bit of a side angle for you. If I go into the internal rotation here of my left hip, okay? I've tested it, I can go a particular distance, all right? So I'm going, and it's gone out that way. I'm quite happy with that range. Now what happens if I take my right hand off the ground? Now I lose a significant amount of range. If I take my left hand off the ground, I get a lot of that range back. Now if I go to my right hip and test, okay, so I've got that much range, cool. If I take off my left hand, range is still there, no problem. If I take off my right hand, range is still there, no problem. So you can see there's a little bit of a deficit depending on the stability element, and I want to work through moving in and out of that range in something that I know I have the range for, but for whatever reason it's locked up in this position, probably not because of the hip, but because of something further up in the chain. So it's a nice little stepping stone into getting into some more of the weight bearing exercises, just because it requires more stability, more tension from your torso stabilizers. But give this a go and see if you find out a one-sided difference, kind of like I just did. If you like this video, then please hit like below. Otherwise, to check out more of our content in the future, you can subscribe to our channel by clicking our logo over here. And to check out our latest video, click up here.